was going to do this last month, but I ended up being somewhere else. That, no offense, had high priority.
We're not affected.
So this would have been January.
Yes.
We talked about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And apologize, it's kind of hard to see the whole township with zoomed in. This is what it roughly would have presented in January. This, I explained the character areas were in different types. And we had a long discussion and some things we wanted to change and come back with some different alternatives here. Different alternative to look at. So let me see if this works. Okay, it does. So here's what we had back in January, and here is the version that's in front of you. And this with this fancy little slider thing that my GIS teacher gave me, you kind of see where the changes are as it goes. There's, so we're going to start up here in the house plan is and build Idaville. You can see nothing's really changing over in that part. There you still have the little industrial character right there around. Now it's Peach Glen plant. You still have the little rural residential area there along Georgetown Road. Still have the village there in Idaville. You still have these cluster of larger rural lots there. Ted, I think you pointed out these were hard box type of lots. There you see a bunch of clusters, one up here by the county line, over here, and then a bunch in the center part. Areas that are the residential lots. They're larger residential lots, maybe not large enough for more than maybe there might be a couple agricultural lots in there that might be really targeted stuff, but they're largely residential areas that are surrounded by agricultural areas. So it's not really until you get over to the bottom half of the township where you start to see some changes here. So that's what it was before. You can kind of see what it is here. So let's go down here, over by where the school campus is and the state game lands, where you can start to see the changes there. And this one here, I'd accidentally included the state game lands in there because I wasn't paying attention when I drew it. Here you can see I sort of drew that back, and we had talked about, we had an extensive conversation about the township's existing zoning. There's a lot of lines. I'll take some of these off. The blue lines are the current zoning districts. We had a lengthy discussion about the commercial district and this area down here, just north of Heidlersburg and the interchange there, about, is that appropriate? There's some agricultural operations down there, and how kind of a little discussion of how that ended up in there 25 plus years ago. So you can kind of, so as part of that discussion there, we talked about, maybe this area over here along 94 as a potential area, and then we talked about the difference between the areas up here. Here's the 15 interchange as it comes down around the residential, which we'll get to there, and then originally it came all the way down this big area here that basically came down the entire old Harrisburg Road corridor, almost down to might be Wineman's Mill Road,
Yep. Got it.
So with this, and so one more time, we had previously had this little small commercial area down here. So with the revisions here, Chris split some things out here. We talked about this one here, a little smaller, pure commercial area here. And then splitting the bottom half of that original area there, which is pretty much, so I want to say that's probably south of the, I think that's the shed place or something, just south of that area there. Sort of splitting that into this gray area, which when you see on your map there, I call that's the rural commercial mixed use area. That's like a small, less intense version of commercial district. And I'll get there. I'll explain that a little deeper here. And then coming down to this area. Apologies for not loading there. Narrowing it much closer around the existing commercial properties that either have been or have been proposed for development down here. These are just rough lines drawn by hand. Don't think of these as it's not going to come over on that side of the road. It's just circling the area.
It is over on the other side of the road now, though, right?
Right. It is.
So,
it is.
So that's really not showing what actually is
Right. And
possibly.
Right.
Because that one property was just sold at auction, and I know it was purchased with the knowledge that it is in the commercial district. So
Okay.
are we going to remove that opportunity for that guy now? Or?
Well, that's part of the discussion here. This is not.
That's just what's being used as commercial right now, not.
Right. Again, this part here, step here, is what we call character areas. We're just identifying areas that have common uses, common visuals to them.
Cody, can you point specifically to what you were saying? I want to understand.
Right down in here. So.
Oh, along Old Harrisburg.
Old Harrisburg.
Yes,
Yeah.
this property was not sold, this one was, the same gentleman bought all three places. And that carried some value because it is in the commercial district there. So that's why I'm saying this really, to me, isn't representing what actually is commercial. 'Cause that could all be sold and used for commercial purposes in the zoning ordinance, that's just what's used right now. So it's not really, my opinion, not accurately representing that area. So that's just.
Were you talking about the stuff that was just sold by Hurley?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, that was one of the pieces.
Right, yep.
And actually on the other side of the road, part of it.
Correct, yeah, there's
Right.
bilateral.
Right.
So, again, the purpose of this step isn't to establish what the final zoning map will be. It's to start the discussion of where the districts should be using these character areas. It's currently, regardless of what the zoning on the west side of 15 currently is, in actuality, right now, it's an agricultural setting with some large residential lots in it. The planning question is, do you want to continue it being commercial to the extent it is over there now, considering that those uses have to go through other settings to reach their highest and best uses there. These large, this commercial district now includes some fairly high intense uses that those properties will be, given their setting, would be, have some value.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, to use them, they're going to have trips, a lot of trips that go down through Heidelberg. They're not getting direct access to 15. They're coming out on Harrisburg Road. Is that something that you want to continue to allow? That's the policy discussion.
Well, the other thing you have to look at too, Andy, is what what roads access those properties. Because some of what you have, and I mean, one of them is my property, but some of what you have in the circle there is not White Church Road address. It's Gun Club Road address.
Yeah.
And so it's an entirely different character over there. So that's why, whether it's off of Oxford, whether it's off of Old Harrisburg, like Cody just said, or whether it's off of White Church where we had this corridor going up there, or Gun Club, you got to figure out if you start drawing lines or circles, you got to say, okay, where's that property? Because that property could be in a whole different place than you think. It's not. It may be contiguous to the commercial, but it's in a different place because one property is accessed off of a very agricultural road, and another one's accessed off of the commercial road.
So let me approach this with a different question. How large? Where do you think the best place for? Forget what it is currently zoned.
Right.
Take that out of the equation. In this setting down here, what areas do you think should be commercial? Makes the most sense to be something that's not an agricultural or residential zone, given its proximity to an interchange, even though it's not in your township.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, that's where I was going, because a whole bunch of what you have just off of the blue line, which is our township, is commercial. Because it's Tyrone's commercial, and some of it's Tyrone's upper level, whatever that commercial, industrial, whatever it is.
Right.
So it does make sense for I think for us to if we're looking at making these changes, it makes sense to look down there. But it also makes sense to probably look at it off of Oxford. You've made that point a couple different times.
I understand the 234 Old 15 interchange, but White Church Road's nasty intersection getting up and down there.
It really is.
You want people in trucks and stuff going down there or over here.
Yeah.
And you know, my small brain, this shouldn't go across, this shouldn't be over here. This should stop with Old 15 and be on this side. You have a lot less houses over here.
Yeah.
This is one big kind of open thing. You know, you got a lot more people over here.
Yes.
You got the development up at the other end.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this makes more sense if we're going to have some
Yeah.
big, massive,
You're exactly.
big, massive thing.
You're
And if we go
exactly.
shrinking it down to this little teeny bit, I don't see that helping.
Yeah. If I were starting over, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have done any of that.
I wouldn't have did that over there.
Yeah,
That's already been.
Yeah, I know. If I were starting over, I wouldn't do any of that. It's one of the worst intersections.
I would want to direct attention to the other side of 15.
Yeah, and we've had people killed right there. And sorry to keep pointing.
That's, I don't know how you'd ever get a semi down over that hump.
Yeah.
They'll be.
Anyway, so that's an observation, I guess.
Yeah, my point is, if you're starting over, I mean, look, access.
Yep.
I mean, you don't want it to be off of township roads where we gotta be rebuilt and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You want them off of an upper level access road. You might not get it on a major arterial, but you might get it on a high level collector or something along there.
So just keep in mind that big picture. These big open properties over here that are currently in commercial, if those attract interest to be used as commercial, they're likely going to attract big, flat, large buildings
Boxes.
that have lots of trucks. And the only direction they're going to get to 15 is through Heidelbergsburg or through York Springs.
Yeah.
On either end.
Yeah.
Which has implications just like it does.
Its own problems. Yeah.
You know, and whether if it's on the other side of the road coming down through the intersection of White Church on the other side. Your dilemma is neither of those intersections are under your control.
That's what I was gonna say, they're not our intersections.
You know,
Yeah.
so this one over here, Heidlersburg is a state road, this one over here is state and township road. Just from the sheer permitting and review process, this one is gonna go through PennDOT. This one here, 50/50. It's going to depend on what the use is
Yeah.
and how much trips they're generating there to how it affects the state road.
Yeah.
This one over here, it's not a question. So that's a big discussion point there for what you want this area to be. I would agree with what Cody said. I know why it went there, but it probably should not have gone across Old Harrisburg. There's no, it's likely just a set distance off,
It's 500 feet.
something like that, which was common at the time. But nowadays, most map or zoning ordinance map makers want to keep it at property lines or road lines. So it would, and today it would come right down Old Harrisburg Road. And if you want to keep it, I would draw it right down that line anyway.
Okay.
The question that I want to impress upon you to think about is if you keep it over here, there are implications for what's in that district, that would be in that district, and the uses and the type of trips it could generate. And there's impacts that has on intersections that are outside of your jurisdiction, which creates issues if something like that would come up. You'd likely have a lot of people at your meetings that would have some issues, but no standing,
Right.
if you will,
Right.
to have an impact. Which not the first municipality in the state to have that issue, and you certainly won't be the last. That, for disclosure, that's partially why we had looked at this area up here on the Carlisle Pike, which is a higher classification road than Old Harrisburg Road.
Yeah.
And has, direct access there and then up to the interchange. There, so then which already has truck traffic using it in that manner in the first place, so it's
Yeah.
not as big of a disruption to the overall road network or community over here as it would potentially be over here.
Right.
So ultimately, it's going to be your call as to which direction you want it to go, but
We have a bad intersection right there, Quaker, Country Club, and that's nasty right now as it is.
That one, 5.2 is too, yeah, all of them are going through that.
That is our problem there. Part of it.
Yeah, it's half our problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
so, again, those are the changes that we've made here that would be discussion points for you.
Hang on, I'm back up there. What, you say the gun club 94 is our? That's their state road.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
it's in
our township.
Yeah, it's in our
Yeah, but
Because the other ones aren't even in our township.
No, that's
the
what I
difference.
meant, they're not in our township.
Yeah.
This
right, I mean,
Yeah.
the roads are
The
PennDOT.
state
No,
roads, yeah.
No, but it's
Yeah.
at least half in our township.
It's, we would have some involvement in that, what was that?
Well, they fixed that 20 years ago.
Yeah, really. Made it a launch.
And Andy's point is, if we pull the trigger down in that lower area, the Heidlersburg area, the worst intersections aren't in our township.
That's what I was.
Yeah, and to your point about, filling up the room, we would fill up the room with Tyrone people and other people saying, you're ruining our town by making this area that hasn't been developed for commercial before, developed for commercial. And Huntington aren't paying the ultimate price. Obviously, we pay some of the price, but the intersections that are going to be a disaster, depending on which side of White Church we're on, which side of 15 we're on, they're going to be they're gonna be, on the Heidlersburg side or that White Church intersection.
That's not
It's
safe.
just awful. I think
Well,
2 people have been killed there since we lived there.
I'm not looking at that as trying to advocate for large warehouses and stuff. I wanna see that like the plague. But if somebody wants to open a repair shop or a smaller business that doesn't comply with the agricultural needs, which is most of your businesses, that's their only spot to do it down there. Any of the commercial industrial is the only place them pieces can. If you're not working on a tractor, you can't have a repair shop in the ag district. So, that's why I'm seeing is opportunity for that type of thing. And I understand it comes with
Yeah.
the opposite of that, which could
Yeah.
be something we don't want.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's been that way for years. And like I said, I know that gentleman that bought that with the intention of, that's makes that property worth more. So to buy that and then 6 months later, the township goes, well, we're not doing that anymore. We're going down here to this little tiny spot. I mean, that may have other people here angry for other reasons. So.
And that sort of goes into what I was thinking. We should have a new zone, like a flex zone.
Yes, some things
It could-
need to
it
be
could-
in the
It
ag
could run
zone
up
that
the
would be
whole
allowed.
old Harrisburg Road, both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
Something that
Define
could
it.
be, that could be a flexible for a small business owner
Yep.
or a residential or something of that nature. Not full-scale industrial type of use.
No.
But
Yep.
if someone went, like you said, a garage shop
If we could
or,
work that in, then you can do whatever you want with closing that down, but those areas are the only opportunities for what he talked about. My family's had a business at my property for 3 generations, and if it's closed down for 2 years, it can't be reopened. That's why it's still open to this day.
This
That-
is just grandfathered in.
Exactly. So if my sign comes down and that business is closed 2 years, I can't open it back up.
Yeah.
And that's not, this day and age, I don't think that's right.
So is the township talking about, we'll just stick with Old Harrisburg Road, are you talking about maybe taking off on the west side that commercial potential and/or right here in the peak, right where Hurley, where it just had the auction and all that, right there, like on the west, are you talking about taking away possibly from the road going west?
It's not fair to say we're talking about it. We're just brainstorming a whole bunch
We'll
of
talk
different
and
ideas.
discuss it. Yeah, I'm just saying, is that, what?
I wouldn't think that would be something we'd do. Taking away isn't the approach we're trying to take. We're trying to add to people's abilities.
Let's say we're gonna revise it, not take away, but
Yeah.
just say, looking to revise its usage.
That's an area that we're discussing revising.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
Thanks.
You have something to say, Andy, you say it.
Okay, so let me finish one, I want to come back to this discussion with something else. Let me finish something else.
And you have a point on
Else here,
flex.
else here, I'm gonna hand something else out
All right.
that will, I think will help move this discussion forward a little bit. The last thing that I added was this orange area up here, which kind of goes around Flowing Springs, around the next property, which was
Fox.
proposed for something, I don't remember what the name of it was, but it's Harry Fox.
But it's not,
There.
it's just a field, not right?
For sale.
Yeah, it's for sale.
Yeah, it's been for sale.
Yeah, a couple of at least.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
And then another area, basically around the westish side here.
Kind of the backside of the borough, right?
Yeah, which roughly coincides with where your residential districts are
Okay.
right now. There's the utilities don't necessarily go out there. There is one project that there is technically a second phase of the townhouse project there. Apple, something like that.
Something, yeah.
There, I actually found the plan in the report of deeds office that shows that there's no lots in the township, it stops at the township line. But, this would be the setting where that residential use, that would be your intense residential settings there. So that combines the changes we've been talking about here, where the changes to the character area map that's in front of me. Again, the conversation's happening, I want to make sure you know is that character areas are not zoning. They're the first step in making the zoning districts. What I'm going to hand out here is the first step towards that. And I'm going to go over this, and it will help you have those discussions a little bit more. So these would be some potential districts we'd be looking at. An agricultural district, very similar to what you have now. The rural residential district, which would, again, that would largely be the yellow, small yellow areas up here. A village district, which would be around Idaville. Residential district, which would be around Flowing Springs and York Springs. Then we get to the three that kind of cover what we were talking about. So rural commercial district, I'll explain. Commercial district and industrial. I'll start with industrial because that's relatively easy to state. Now again, this is if you would want, right now you have a combined one, commercial and industrial. You have not, if you want, you have enough of a industrial cluster to create your own district around analysis Beach Glen property, if that's what you want. If not, it can be a combined district.
Where are you pointing to then? Oh, okay.
Or up in the top one.
Got it.
Um,
I don't have to go there.
And a commercial district, which would be everything else.
Okay.
And you notice that from one of the biggest changes from the one I showed in January to now is that the color has changed. And the setting around here, down here, and over here. Something that we've created in another township is this rural commercial district, which it's the way to think of it is it's a lighter version of commercial district that's more focused on settings where you have either a combination of residential properties and commercial properties that have cropped up over the years. Think of a setting that might not have had zoning, so you have a mishmash of uses that, how in the heck did that, how the heck did we get a salvage yard across from a strip of houses, for example?
Yeah.
That's that sort of thing.
Right.
You don't necessarily want to encourage it to grow and get more mixed up, but you don't want to say, you know what, we're going to make you all non-conforming even. So we came up with this and we called it rural commercial just because it's not a traditional commercial district. It's something that's unique to a lot of rural areas.
Yeah.
That don't have zone. Like, go over into the parts of Franklin County that don't have zoning on the west of Chambersburg.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of, different uses right next to each other. They function fine. It's a very rural area. There's not a lot around it. It's, the conflicts are lessened because of that.
Yeah.
That's the type of district that this would be envisioned. It's been applied in rural areas. It's also been applied in some rather major, highway sections for different reasons in other municipalities. So as you're thinking of the area, the 94 corridor, the area around the 15 interchange and the upper part of Old Harrisburg Road, the area of Old Harrisburg Road down to Wireman's Mill Road, and then area down here where we've been talking about.
Yeah, we kind of have it on White Church now. That is, if I were to throw the best definition of, that I can think of, where we kind of have rural commercial already,
That is.
I'd say White Church. Yeah,
You have 3, 4 businesses and.
yeah. It's houses and body shop and,
Repair shop.
yeah,
Sign business.
sign business, yeah, exactly.
So now, and it's just a something to throw out there. If this is something that a type of setting, and look, this is just a broad description. It can be different as we go forward. Would something like that's apply where this area down here, across that whole setting? It's not gonna get you the high intensity commercial stuff, but it'll get you the more.
That's what
I would say it's not going to get you the data center. It's not going to get you the warehouse. It's not going to get you the stuff that's
Most
That's
objectionable.
That's what we don't
yeah, that causes the most impacts. But it will get you might get you stuff that's a little more community serving, if you will.
Yeah.
So that might be, maybe that's an in between. Now, as we talked about this, there's something else that in most municipalities, in fact, all but 2 in the county, we won't even talk about this. But because the unique factor you have here is something that's worth just putting out there. Especially in context of those big data centers and warehouses, et cetera. So when they come in here, what's one of the first things they tout? Jobs, tax revenue.
Jobs and tax base.
You know, and we don't like to do zoning and planning based on taxes, because that can change. And quite frankly, in the past, it leads to bad land use decisions. But you're unique in that, yes, there's school tax, but you don't have a township tax. So, if let's say somebody dropped a data center proposal at the interchange here, it'll impact the school district. But let's say warehouse, like the warehouse is being built up in Dillsburg behind 5 acres. If somebody drops something like that here, school district benefit from those taxes. The county will benefit from those taxes. You get nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, not saying that you should that should change.
Yeah.
Believe me.
It's a good point.
But that's something you need to take into consideration here. When those sort of things happen, you're going to get the impacts, but the revenue side doesn't flow to you unless they happen to live here, work in the township.
That's
Again.
minimal at its best.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
And outside of you and Mountjoy, we're not having that discussion anywhere.
Yeah.
But that's something that you need to have in the back of your mind, that as those sort of things happen, you get the impacts of them, but without
Yeah.
the revenues to address it.
Yeah.
So, when you're thinking about how extensive you want to make this, where do you want to put this sort of stuff, you have an extra factor, if it will, to consider. So, the reason I wanted to hand you this tonight is to give you some idea of where you'd be going in terms of districts, and if you like some of these, and if you don't. But 2, to show you that rural commercial option versus the commercial and the industrial descriptions on the back of the page.
Yeah.
So that there is another alternative out there for that. And that, again, that rural commercial, it's applied in rural areas, and frankly, it's applied on another section of 94. In probably a much more intense version than you would likely have, because there's, a lot of more existing there than there is here.
So the township using this in Adams County now?
Yes.
How many? Roughly.
Less than 5.
Okay.
Like I said, we just created it several years ago,
Okay.
when we were redoing some ordinances. Again, let me back up. Planning headline. It says, well, we want mixed use. Well, when you say mixed use, what do you want? Do you want mixed use because you mean multiple types of uses on one property? Or do you mean mixed use in terms of, I want to put as many possible uses in this district so that the property owner can basically do whatever they want and we have zoning without having zoning?
Right.
You know, which version do you want?
So-
So too often we get, it's the, let's permit everything here so we can keep our options open rather than looking what's the best fit for what fits the community.
So if we decided to, let's just say, make that area down there the rural commercial, would we be able to make the list of what uses we would allow in that as permitted and then possible conditional, and then we could have that to a T, what?
Yep. The only caveat I would say is that by law, you have to provide for every use somewhere.
Well, that was my next
in
question.
stuff.
I don't want to do that, take the commercial industrial away, do that, and then put the township in a possible bind where if one of them big operations does come in here and go, well, we're not.
Well,
We
and
gotta be careful of that too.
that's a great point. I'll go up here to the.
If we can get away with that, great.
So, I mean, so purely from a, and it's called spot zoning, is what it is.
Yep.
Purely from that perspective. And this area here, that's in the area, that's all the
That's
mountain
how that
houses.
is.
They actually own, there's more property that they own there, but it's the fields operations, so we did cut that out. And yet, we have no idea what their long-term plans are at all.
Sometimes I don't think they do.
But there's enough land there and properties there, again, all one owner, but that's a different issue, that you can legitimately make it an industrial district and not be excluding anything. On the flip side, unless they sell, it's not developing anything in that industrial settings either. You know, if you're uncomfortable with that, you would want to allow some industrial elsewhere. You know, then these could industrial and combined commercial industrial district up here that could include some of those. If you're concerned that there's not enough land here to accommodate everything, then these settings here could potentially be a fallback.
Right.
Potentially.
Right.
Not saying it should, just potentially. And then you have this area here and this area down here as your in between. You know, so that's some things to think about.
Yeah. And whenever, like it's industrial, if you narrow it down and say put small tracts of industrial, and you don't allow enough room for real industrial use, they can come in there and sue us because we didn't provide for.
Right.
That's what I don't want to
Space.
run, that's what I don't want to run into, because you won't win the battles with them,
No, you
they got
won't.
money.
We won't.
I guess I'm not saying this is the best idea. I'm saying it's a possible.
Yeah, but it's,
Right.
In theory, it would work. Now, what that might not be in practice, it might not, and maybe there should be the rural commercial, the combined commercial industrial up there. But to get to your point, really, yes, the next step beyond taking these, making actual maps that are not just drawing lines, but by parcel
By parcel.
to show options, come to a version that everybody's comfortable with, and then we start working with the districts, and that's where we get to like in your current ordinance, there's I don't know if you have a table of uses or whatever, but what uses are best suited in which district, then how do you want to permit them? Do you want them by right? Do you want them by special exception, conditional use? How do you want to go about that? Again, just because we've written a version of this rural commercial district in another set in another municipality, doesn't mean that that exact model will work here.
Right.
You know, it needs to be
Right.
tweaked to fit your
Tailor-
layout.
Yeah.
You know, and you might want, you know, I'll give you an example. Tyrone has 2 agricultural preservation districts. One in the, say, northern half is fruit oriented. They do not permit industrial agricultural operations in that ag district. In the second one, in the southern half of the township, they do. That's down where Hillendale is. There, they permit those. They want to direct those there. Now, does that meet some state laws? I think that's questionable. But it works for them.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah, yeah.
From a planning perspective, I think it makes perfect sense. From a
Yeah.
legal perspective, maybe less so. But the point is, they created 2 different districts that in the same type of use that control some different. To be frank, as if we go back to bear with me while I turn some stuff off here. Go back to this map, which shows the agricultural character areas. You have the northern end of the fruit belt here, and then you have a lot of crop and animal operations and the rest of it. So, you know, you have a bit of the same thing, just there's because their geography, it comes down a little bit further in theirs than it does in yours. You have some of the same sort of settings there. Again, I'm not recommending that you do that like them, because it's not as distinct. Whether you have maybe fruit operations and major animal husbandry operations in the same set. But that's an example. Now we're talking about this from the commercial side of it, industrial side of it. You know, having 2 different settings because one, you know, has the space but not the access. The other has the access but not the space. And how do you make the 2 marry up to give yourself the best path forward?
So one of the things you were gonna do for us is have the zoning that's contiguous next to us, so we can see what,
You did say that and I forgot.
yeah, okay. So for next time, we can take a look at that.
I apologize.
That's all right. Ted, you can say?
Yeah, just a minute.
Oh,
Ron, did you have something you wanted to?
You have that industrial up at Peach Glen. If I was looking for an industrial area, that's the last place I would want to get.
yeah.
You got about 20 acres up there that's relatively flattish type ground that you can work with. The rest of it is either uphill, downhill, steep, and whatever you want to call it. It's,
Yeah.
the only thing that's there that any benefit for anything industrial is if now foods would go away, is the sewer plant. That would be the only thing that would draw somebody in there, because as far as doing anything in there to make anything, it would be too hard to get anything larger industrial in there to do anything because of the physical
Yeah.
location type stuff.
So
So,
one of my reactions to that is that may be exactly what we want.
well, that's possible.
Yeah, yeah, we gave him a spot. If it's not right for him, that's
If
too
it's
bad.
not-
But yeah,
If it's not suitable, they'll look somewhere else.
that's exactly it.
But do they have legal recourse if that's the only spot we have?
Well, if it's the only spot, it might be. Yeah, but we don't have to make it the best spot.
No,
in
no,
the-
by
in the-
all means.
I mean, it's
I don't want to.
That's my point.
Yeah, we don't have to
If we don't
accommodate.
want something in
It's an existing one now, and that works because it's there now,
Yeah,
and that
right.
Yeah.
carries on later on.
But my point is, if there's something that we conclude we don't want, data centers are what nobody seems to want, so I can pick on data
So
centers.
it's one you just keep quiet about.
We
and it
can,
works.
yeah, or you can put your data center on that cliff. You know, I don't want a data center, that's too bad, that's our spot for the data center.
The 2 of the typical tests when it comes to exclusionary or spot zoning. One, are there requirements for specific uses in your ordinance that make it physically impossible to locate? You know, you have heavy industrial has to be on a 50-acre parcel, minimum lot size.
And you don't provide
And,
50
and
acres.
there's no 50-acre parcels in your industrial district,
Yeah.
you know, now you're in a problem.
We aced them out.
If
Yeah.
you say minimum lot size is 1 acre, use are permitted, and the properties that it can physically fit on, they're just not for sale.
Bad.
That's not,
How it goes.
that's,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
that's traditionally not been considered. Doesn't mean every judge or employer will agree.
No, that's right.
But traditionally, that's what where the line has been. Like I said, you have this, now so there gives you the option to. It might not be the best option, but it gives you the option to. Considering what we talked about tonight, you might retain the combined commercial industrial district, and it's up here, and it's these two settings over here, and then you might end up with two rural commercial districts. One that's in this setting right here.
Yeah.
That is a little. It's like a souped up rural residential district,
Mhm.
and one down here, which is like a toned down commercial district.
Yeah.
You know, you could see something.
Which we kinda have
And
already.
I recognize we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're talking maybe 6 or 7 different zoning districts compared to 4 now. But to the flip side, you're also making it that that properties are in zoning districts that better fit them and
Yeah.
make it easier for people to develop. Like these areas now, these yellow areas, they're all in the ag preservation district. So they're subject to those maximum lot sizes, the sliding scale. There's all the restrictions that come with the large ag lots, those small residential lots are subject to.
Yeah.
You know, along with the setbacks and everything. Maybe that's restricting those smaller lots more than it's preserving the larger ones. So
Yeah.
getting them in one that fits them from a dimensional perspective might be better, might help them if they want to further. Because subdividing those isn't going to be as impactful as it is subdividing a larger farm.
Right.
Notes I have is, you want to see the adjacent zoning in here, which I apologize, I forgot. I have this here, you can think about it.
Yeah,
If you'd like me-
that's new information right now. Very useful.
If you would like me to go back and come up with some other descriptions for what we talked about here.
For the rural commercial, would you maybe be able to give a list of some uses that other townships have in that?
I'll
that they're
bring
using?
an example of the last one that I wrote
Okay.
there, so you can see what those look like. A fair warning, it's in a much more developed municipality than you are.
Okay.
You know, so keep that in
So we
mind.
can dial it back.
It has, you know, it's not just commercial, there's the
Yeah.
residential side, it includes uses and densities that are not appropriate for your setback.
Right.
Okay.
Just keep that.
We
keep that in mind.
don't want to complicate matters.
No.
Well,
Yeah, I get it, but we don't want to make it too complicated because this township is not heavily influenced. I mean, let's be honest, we don't have a lot to offer, and that's quite all right.
Yeah.
tell you what I'll also do is I'll see if I can come up with separate descriptions here for,
We don't know what you're writing on there. Separate
I'm
description.
making notes myself first.
Okay, all right.
Okay. I'll come up with two separate rural commercial descriptions. One that is like rural residential heavy, and another that is commercial industrial light.
Okay.
There, two different
Sounds good.
different descriptions
Yeah.
to reflect the conversation we've had tonight about this setting up here versus this setting
Right.
down here.
Okay.
And I'll revise this down here to reflect that from character area discussion as well. Because shifting to that perspective changes potential character areas that we would be looking at and setting. So those are, and then the example list of uses in another
That would be great.
section.
Both permitted and conditional.
Yeah, that was,
Or
that
in
was
special
what-
exception.
mainly what I was,
I'll just
not necessarily the legalese, but just the actual uses that they decided.
run a copy of, and I wrote it, so I'll just run a copy of the whole district there and share it with you. And
Okay.
you can go from there.
Great.
I'll even include municipalities so you can see where it is.
Okay, that's helpful.
It's not far. It's
Okay.
just down 94, so.
Okay.
I think,
But again, this whole discussion about commercial industrial side, it's, municipalities like you, like Huntington, it's a difficult conversation. Because you don't have a large cluster, it's like when I work at Reading Township. There's no commercial or industrial setting down there. It's how far do you want to expand around Hampton?
Yeah.
It's very difficult down there to figure out, and it's also very difficult down there it's close to where it's really small and it's limiting, and even expanding it becomes a challenge.
Yeah.
They've not been successful in expanding it for a variety of reasons. So if you're in a city where you don't have that sort of thing, that's why you're a little bit fortunate you have one. It becomes challenging to figure out where you want to accommodate something that you don't currently have.
Right. Okay, that's great, Andy, thank you.
Any other questions or comments or things you want me to put?
Not right now, for me anyway.
I'm sure there'll be more later.
No, but there'll be a lot.
this is good though. We get these discussions
Yeah.
moving along and stuff. And I mean, what we work out, what comes out of here, the end result's going to determine the character of your neighborhood for 10, 20 years down the road. So
Yeah, no more.
it's not, don't take lightly what we're doing. I mean, it's very important. It's going to impact people and their property values, everything.
Oh,
I live here, so.
yeah, good, that's another good point. Speaking of values, you were also gonna check with the tax authorities to see changes in tax, if we change a zone. The implications of that. Thank you.
Is there any other questions for Andy?
With what came up in the back of the I would have got that stuff.
That's-
That's all right.
Thank you.
All right. Any other old business we want to have any comments? Marie?
I want to first thank Andy Merkel for bringing handouts for the audience. I think that it makes it more interesting for us. I mean, I'm interested in zoning, et cetera, from my past job, but also in speaking about the Ronald Miller property and the website not having the new ordinance, ordinance up. It's not really well kept. Whether, I don't know who is responsible here for it, but they still have Ron Resch down as a planning commission member. And I brought this up at the Board of Supervisors. I missed the little midget car racing hearing because it wasn't on the website. And Solicitor King said, well, we did it according to law, which is a newspaper. But when you have a website, the Sunshine Act indicates you should have it also on your website. And I was very disappointed that I missed it. It would have been a very interesting hearing, I'm sure. But, so that's all I wanted to say. And I hope that in the future we could have that. And I know you're planning commission, but if you could kind of put it in the ears of the supervisors that it may be a good idea to have it on our website. I mean, they still have the December 9th, I don't even know what it is, they have the December 9th hearing still up. So it's, so in previous ones, they did have it on the website. So,
Good point. I mean, it's, if we're
Yeah.
gonna have that, we should keep it up to date.
yeah,
I mean, what I hate is going into, I'm not criticizing our own township, but when you go to a website, look something up and it's not been touched for 2 years or something.
right.
I mean, like say a restaurant, and you go there and the restaurant's shut, and it's like, what the heck?
I could even understand it if we were doing it ourselves and people don't get time, but we're paying a company to have this website up and running, so, you know.
I mean, they-
Maybe they're not getting the information they need, you know, what's happening there, but.
Yeah,
I hope you got my point where that ordinance was adopted.
Right.
He filed the plans after it was officially adopted. So
right,
he has to abide by the
right.
law.
No, I understood that.
Scott, I have a
Well,
question about that. Didn't
doesn't-
you just say you got the ordinance yesterday that can now be posted?
Doesn't he have to sign, doesn't the attorney have to sign off on it?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday, I think that's what George.
Yeah, but I mean, it couldn't be posted
Until-
before because you did not
Well, it was-
receive the electronic copy?
Well, we've all had the electronic copies for.
Oh, okay.
But it's,
It's not officially signed and whatever they have
Okay.
to do to send it to the county law library. or I don't know
Okay.
exactly the-
Okay.
Public service,
Yeah.
because you mentioned the website. There was a change in the federal ADA law a couple of years ago that talks about websites and public documents being, I'm gonna call it ADA because I can't remember the exact term, ADA compatible. It's things like, if you have an image, you have an alt text with it for people that might use readers or things that might be visually or hearing impaired. The compliance deadline is based on population and it's if you're over 50,000, it's April. That's us. If it's under 50,000, it's next April. That's every other municipality. I would hope that Todd has talked to you about it, but I know from talking to some other solicitors and some people from PSATs that a lot of municipalities around the state are going like this with it, or like this with it, is thinking it'll go away. Just because now most your lawyer can talk to you, hopefully the hosting company can help identify, but there's some compliance things that would come up. They're coming up by federal law that it's not just you, it's every municipality around here is going to have to comply with. Fortunately, you have an example because county websites don't have to be compliant by next month. So that's like, and it's not just up, it's like the maps that we have, after maps we have, all of those have to comply. The plan, this for comparison, the planning office website has 30% of the documents in the entire county website. One department, 30%. And the other one would comply. So.
Very
Yeah.
good to it.
But the point being is that, as you talk about the website, there's this other compliance thing that's coming down the pike that municipalities need to be aware of. There.
No, I just.
Who knows, are there any challenges? Who knows, but
I just know a lot of residents think that, I don't want to say it's deliberate by the township that they're not doing it, but it doesn't seem like it would be too hard to put the notice of a hearing on the website so that somebody can see it. And comment that, well, it's in the newspaper, well, what do we have the website for? So.
It's like things are being hidden.
Yeah, we've been told,
I don't think things are being.
No, but that's what's being
I
said.
think you'd be amazed the small amount of people that look at the website.
Sure.
well, I'll just say from my experience that when it came to forms, we used to come in here and get them. And the supervisor said, well, they're on the website, go on the website. So now we go on the website and you can't even find that one up.
you know.
The
It's-
forms,
you sh- you
the
sh-
forms are here too.
Well, I know they are, but that's
Yeah,
not how it
we
was,
were told that.
that's not how it was, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna sit here and
this
argue.
is digressing out of our
Correct.
meeting,
Yes,
so,
it is.
you might have to slap that down, but.
No, in fact, they still have that you're looking for a planning commission member. I mean,
There's-
yeah,
Yeah, your point's well taken.
No.
And
but,
So just trying to out.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been here many years, I'm used to it.
so, okay. Is there any other public comments? No, not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, the next supervisors meeting is April 9th, and planning commission meeting is April 27th. If not hearing any objections, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved.